welcome to Virtuoso's Music Adventure Camp. I'm so excited you're here, and I hope you're going to enjoy these next 3 weeks that we're going to have full of music theory facts, music activities, music projects, exercises, and stuff like that. So I hope you're going to have a good time, and I'm just going to walk you a little bit through what to expect for this program. We're going to learn a bunch of music theory stuff. We're going to learn intervals, how to train the ear. We're going to learn circle of fifths. Circle of fifths is important because this talks about all the scales, the relative minors, the number of sharps and flats for each scale, so it's very beneficial. It's a cool thing to learn as well. We're going to learn a scale every single day, and it's going to be great practice for you to play all the scales, and as well as learn order of sharps, orders of flats, learning bow exercises, how to relax and you just learn about posture. We're going to do bow exercises. We're going to have music projects that are going to be really fun. We're going to have some music games as well, and you're going to have the opportunity for weekly master classes if that's something that you want to do. I'll talk more about that when the time comes. And then on the weekends, we'll have a group call for everybody to gather together and just talk about some things and have some kind of group projects, something for fun that you guys can all get to know each other as well as talk through things. So every day we're going to learn about a different composer, and every week is going to have like a theme. So we're just going to get started. Today's scale is C major. Now C major is the first scale. There is no accidental. So accidental means sharp, flats, naturals, those symbols that you see in your music. So C major has no sharps or no flats, so that means no accidentals. And its relative minor is A minor. So please practice. I would really suggest that you practice through all the scales that we're going to be working on for this program. You can do 1 octave. If you're comfortable doing 2 or 3, go for it, but at least, you know, try to do everyday scale, and it could be just 1 octave, keeping it simple and not too complicated. So that's our scale for today. What we're going to talk about next is order of accidentals. So no matter how many sharps you have in a key, it's always going to be the same ones over and over again. So the key is that if you know an order of sharps or flats, you actually know the other. So what I would suggest is that you find words for your acronym, and what I use for, let's say we're going to start with order of sharps. What I was taught is that the saying fat cats go down alleys eating bananas, it's the order of sharps. So our sharps in order is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And you can either create a new saying for that, or if you want to stick with what I learned, more than welcome to use that. But I find helpful that using this will help you learn more quickly the order of sharps, or the order of accidentals in general. So now that we know the order of sharps, we know the order of flats, because, for instance, fat cats go down alleys eating bananas. If you just flip that, that is the order of flats. So the order of flats is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. And that could also be bead, Great Chicago Fire, or whatever you want to use for that. But this is very important to know the order of sharps and accidentals. So I would recommend that you write these down and that you go through it daily, and especially as we're learning the scales, that you're learning the order of sharps. And like I said, no matter how many sharps or flats you will have, they will always be the same ones. If we're going to have 3 sharps, it's always going to be F, C, G. We're going to have 5 sharps, it's always going to be F, C, G, D, A. It's never going to be like G, D, A, or E. It's always going to be the exact order. So that's going to be a little bit easier for you to learn. And so, like I said, if you know flats or sharps for sure, one more than the other, flip it the other way, and that's going to be the other order of the accidentals. So Like I said, it's super important because we're going to go through circle of fifths, and there's going to be a lot of putting the accidentals to the right scales. So keep this written somewhere. If you want to be filling out the daily worksheets, which I recommend, this is something you can just write on there, and this will be helpful. So speaking of circle of fifths, that's the next activity that we're going to be working on. So make sure that you have the printout for the circle of fifths, and we're going to go through how to fill that out, and I'll just talk you through it step by step. So like I said, make sure that you have your printout of the circle of fifths, and I'll walk you through how to fill it out. So this is called the circle of fifths, and we're going to start by counting in 5 for everything. So fifths for 5, circle for C, so that's going to be your first note of the circle of fifths. It's going to be C. Now, it may be helpful to write the order of the notes. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we're always going to count by 5. So C, D, E, F, G. So C, D, E, F, G. That's by 5. So G is our next scale. So G, A, B, C, D. That is our next one. And then D, E, F, G, A for A major. Then A, B, C, D, E. E, F, G, A, B. And then you're going to have a couple scales that are, it's called enharmonic. So enharmonic spelling is when there's 2 ways to write the same note. So for instance, A flat is also G sharp. But on the piano, if you look at it, there's only 1 note for that, but it can be written in 2 different ways. So you're going to have at least 3 scales that will have enharmonic scales. So they essentially sound the same, but they're spelled differently. So if you get stuck after a little bit, you can just go the other way to the flats. If you're going to start the other way, you have to count by 4. Otherwise, that would continue to count by 5. So this is sharps. So going clockwise is sharps, and going counterclockwise is flat scales. So counting by 4, C, D, E, F. F is going to be our next one. F, G, A, B. And make sure for when you're writing flat, the flat scales, that you're writing also flat to that, because we already have A, B over here. So B flat, B, C, D, A flat, B, C, D, E. Sorry, that's an E. I knew I was wrong. And then next we have E, F, G, A, B, C, D. D, E, F, G, G, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that's where that's going to be C flat. And we're going to have other notes. So if you notice, this is the order of sharps. Fat cats go down alleys eating bananas. And then the order of flats, B, E, A, D. So that would be C sharp. So this is another way to write the enharmonic note, and that's going to be A sharp and B sharp, or B major. So that is going to be those notes, and that's an F sharp, my bad, not a G flat. So the first step to this, on the first page, what I want you to do is to write out all these notes. So like I said, you're counting by 5 going this way, and then you're going to count by 4 if you get stuck and you want to go the other way. So let's go to part 2 of that. You're going to go to the second page of the circle of fifths, and we're going to fill in the key signatures on the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write each sharp out the letter first. So C has no accidentals, so this has 0. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to write a sharp, and I'll write the notes. So G major has 1 sharp, and that's F. D major has 2 sharps, and that's F, C. A major has 3, F, C, G. E major has 4, it's F, C, G, D. This one, B major, has F, C, G, D, A. And if you ever get stuck, if you think about it, these are in 5s. F, C, G, A, B. F, G, A, B, C. C, D, E, F, G. G, A, B, C, D. D, E, F, G, A. So you can always count 5 from the last one if you get stuck. So if we're going to do that, so we have F, C, G, D, A. If we're going to count 5 up from A, because let's say that you don't know the next sharp, what we're going to do is we're going to do A, B, C, D, E. So that's going to be E sharp. And we have one more for the sharp. That's going to be F, C, G, D, A, E. And the last one, we're going to count 5 up from E. So E, F, G, A, B. So B sharp. And that's all the sharps for our scales. And you can fill that out. Make sure that when you're writing sharps is that the note, if it's on a line or a space, is going to be in the middle of our sharp symbol. It has to be through that. Otherwise, people who are playing your music or anything like that will not know what the actual note will be. So F and a C. And they're always going to be in the same order written down too. F, C, G, F, C, G, D. I'm going to run out of space soon. F, C, G, D, and the next one is A. It's a little, there's not that much space for that, but you can still follow along. And then F, C, G, D, A, and E. And last one, let's see if we can fit everything on here. F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. So if you want to see that a little bit more clearer, let me write this out for you. I'm going to write some ledger lines. So that's going to be F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. So that would be all the sharps in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's always going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So that's all of our sharps. And how to tell the scale, if it's going to be, if it's a sharp, what you're going to do is you're going to take that last sharp and you're going to go up half a step. So let's say we're talking about, all these sharps over here. How you know what scale this is that this is B sharp, you go up a half step. Up a half step will be C, but we have C sharp, so that's going to be C sharp major for all of this, right, as we have it here. If we were to take 4 of our sharps, the last sharp is going to be a D sharp. Going up half a step from D sharp is E, for E major, and that's 4 sharps. With 1 sharp, we have F sharp. F sharp, half a step up, is G natural, and that's for G major. So for sharps, how you tell the scale is that you take that last sharp and you go up a half step. So I'm going to write the numbers of the sharps, so in case that you forget which exact order they are. So these are all the sharps in order, and you can kind of see it's like a pattern. All right, so now we're gonna talk about flats. And I'll actually write down ledger lines for flats so that way you can see it as it goes, since this is a little bit tiny. All right, so our first flat, remember the order of sharps? F, C, G, D, A, B, E, B. You flip it. So that's going to be B, E, A, D, G, C, F. And if you write down all the accidentals, it's going to be easier to fill out because you're going one by one. So it's going to be 1 flat, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would recommend that you write down the order of sharps first, order of flats. That way you can always check your work and see if it's correct. So for F major, our first flat is B. For B flat, our next flat is going to be E. And let me write that as well over here. So first flat, B. And same with as it is with the sharps, the center of these accidentals has to be, if it's on the line or the space, that's super important. So B and then E. So, oh, I didn't. 1, 2. And then for E flat major, we have B, E, and then A. And then if you are counting, if you know how we counted by 5 for here, if you're counting here, it's going to be by 4. So E, F, G, A to go to the next one. So that's going to be B, E, A. It's going to be a 2. That's going to be 3. And then for A major, our flats is B, E, A, D. B, E, A, D. It's going to be 4. For D flat major, our flats is B, E, A, D, G. And I don't know if you can kind of sense a pattern here by now. So our flat for G flat major is B, E, A, D, G, C. So it would be B, E, A, D, G, and C. And then for the last one, our flat for C flat major is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So here's that pattern. Go up, and then we go down a note here. Then we go down a note from the original one. And then we go back down. So do you see it's going note by note down and note by note down? So as long as you know which one. So it's B, E, A, D, G, C, F. And how to tell scales, how to tell the key signature if you have flats is that you take the second to last flat. So let's say we're talking about C flat major for the scale with all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're taking the last one, the last second to last flat. That's a C flat, and it's always important to write the flats to the scale since we already have D and we don't want to get them confused. So if it's a case of 2 flats, second to last flat is B flat, so that's B flat major has 2 flats. If we're talking about 4 of them, second to last flat is A flat, final one being D flat, so A flat, and then that would be A flat major. So this is going to be very helpful for you. Hopefully you can fill this out all by yourself. Again, if you have any questions, you can definitely let me know. But this is the circle of fifths, okay? We wrote all the notes, and then we're adding all the scales, and we're adding all the sharps and flats. So like I said, make sure you write out first the order of flats and the order of sharps. And you can do a bigger one here too, just so you can get the practice. I just wrote 5 ledger lines, and then I wrote the sharps. If you want to also, if you're a violist or a cellist and you're having trouble writing this, since this is in treble clef, let me know, and I'll show you how to write the scales for the accidentals for alto clef and the accidentals for bass clef. But that is it for the circle of fifths. Alright, so that was circle of fifths. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to ask. You can always just comment on the group. If you have anything specific, or if you're confused about something, definitely let me know. So we're going to talk next about our composer of the day, and that is Niccol Paganini. So Paganini was born in Genoa, Italy in 1782. He was an Italian composer and a violin virtuoso of the 19th century. He was a popular idol and inspired the romantic mystique of the virtuoso and revolutionized violin technique. Paganini had musically ambitious parents. He originally started his violin studies with his father. Shortly after, he started taking lessons from the famous violinist Alessandro Rolla, who later had nothing left to teach him. At the age of 9, he made his debut playing to an enthusiastic audience his own variations on La Carmagnole. So at 15, accompanied by his father, Paganini toured Lombardy, Italy, which each concert his reputation grew. Gaining his independence shortly after, he was a high roller, so constantly gambling and dabbling in affairs. At one point, he actually pawned his violin, so he sold his violin because of his gambling debts. A French merchant loaned him a Guarneri violin to play at a concert, and after hearing him, he gave him the instrument. So if you don't know anything about Guarneri instruments are one of the most expensive instruments today. About a violin would be around $16 million. So that's like a very popular, rare instrument. In 1800 to 1807 is when Paganini wrote the 24 Caprices for unaccompanied violin, displaying the novel features of his technique and kind of like a show-off piece for that. So after 1828, Paganini experienced great success touring from Vienna, Paris, London, Scotland. He became very wealthy. After settling in Paris, he commissioned Hector Berlioz, who was a famous French composer, a piece called Harold and Untitled for him. So back then, how composers made their wealth, part of it was having nobility, wealthy people, pay composers to write a piece for them. So Paganini thought the viola solo for the piece was not challenging enough, so he never played the piece that he had Berlioz write for him. He also invested in a casino house called Casino Paganini, which eventually failed. Paganini's romantic personalities and adventures created in his own day the legend of the Mephistophelian figure. So stories went around, rumors that he sold his soul to the devil and that he had been imprisoned for murder, which he always denied to the press. His burial on consecrated ground, so holy ground, was delayed for 5 years because of the stories of him being in league with the devil or that he sold his soul. His violin technique, based on that of his works, principally the Caprices, the violin concertos, and the set of variations, demanded a wide use of harmonics and pizzicato effect, new methods of fingerings, and even of tuning. So he was always a flamboyant showman who always used trick effects such as breaking 1 or 2 violin strings and continuing to play piece on remaining strings. He was in a performance once and broke all 3 strings and played the rest of the performance only on the G string. If you're a violinist yourself, you know that mostly you play on the A and the E string, so playing only on the G string is incredibly impressive. And then showing to the fact that he was a showman all the time. So Paganini is considered perhaps the greatest violinist that ever lived, and his compositions, including the 24 Caprices for violin alone, are some of the most complex pieces ever composed for the instrument. His violin technique is revolutionary and used by every musician to this day. Another famous piece by Paganini is La Campanella, and I will have that video up for you guys to watch if you're interested. It's a really fun piece to play and as well as to listen to. So if you would like to, you can go ahead and listen to that piece. So today's practice goal is to figure out the key that your core repertoire is in, identifying the accidentals that are in that key signature, if it's like a major or a minor key. So like I said, just knowing the order of accidentals will help. And just, if you don't want to memorize both, just memorize one order, and like I said, you just flip it over and that's the order of the opposite accidental. So that's it for the first day of the program. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. I'm here to help answer any questions, and we'll see you tomorrow. So have a great day.